The sponge mind. What every entrepreneur learns too late. They say knowledge is power. But that's only half true. Because knowledge fills the mind, and sometimes it leaves no room for wisdom. Wisdom doesn't arrive with noise or pride. It comes quietly, in the shape of humility, listening, and curiosity. Every entrepreneur starts with confidence, but only the ones who last. Learn how to absorb. This is the story of a man who thought he knew enough, until life showed him that true growth begins not with knowing, but with listening. Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Pillow, stories to fall asleep with and wake up wiser. Liam was 25, ambitious, energetic, and convinced he had the answers. He had spent years watching TED Talks, quoting famous founders, and highlighting lines in every business book he could find. He didn't just admire success stories, he rehearsed them. His dream was simple: to start something of his own and make it big. So he built a small digital agency, just 3 friends, 2 laptops, and 1 big illusion. They rented a tiny office, white walls, neon quotes, cheap coffee. But to Liam, it felt like Silicon Valley. He printed business cards that said, "Founder and CEO." He believed it. He spoke like one. He acted like one. And when people gave advice, he nodded politely, but never listened. Because deep down, he thought, I've read more than they have. I know how this works. The first month went well. Emails, clients, energy. But soon, deadlines slipped. Tasks were missed. Confusion grew. One morning, their biggest client called. The voice on the phone was calm, too calm. It ended with 6 words that Liam still remembers. "We've decided to end the contract." The room went silent. His teammates stared at him, waiting for direction. But Liam had no plan. That night, the office felt colder. The whiteboard was still full of arrows, buzzwords, and goals. Words like scale, automate, grow. He erased them all. In the middle of the empty space, he wrote, "Maybe I don't know enough." And for the first time, his ego stepped aside and made space for learning. A few days later, he went for a walk to clear his head. The city was buzzing with noise, cars, construction, chaos. But then, in a quiet street corner, he noticed a tiny bakery. No flashy signs, no online ads, just the smell of fresh bread and a line of people waiting patiently. Inside, he met Clara, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and flour on her hands. "Your bakery's always full," he said. "What's your secret?" She smiled. "I listen," he chuckled. "To what? The ovens?" "To people," she said softly. "They tell me what they love, what they don't. That's how I know what to bake next." He tilted his head, confused. "But that's not scalable." Clara laughed gently. "Maybe not, but it's sustainable." Then she added, "You don't grow faster by shouting louder. You grow stronger by listening deeper." Liam didn't understand it yet, but that sentence stayed with him for years. He began visiting the bakery often, sometimes just to watch Clara work. No marketing plans, no meetings, no dashboards, just rhythm, warmth, awareness. He noticed how she treated every customer like a story, not a transaction. One morning while they shared coffee, she told him, "Young people today chase success like it's a finish line. But success isn't a race, it's a relationship with your craft, your people, and yourself." He asked, "How did you learn all this?" She shrugged. "By failing, by listening, by being wrong more times than I can count." Then she smiled and said, You remind me of me, when I thought I knew everything." He laughed nervously, but deep down, something in him softened. Back at the agency, Liam began changing little things. He stopped interrupting his team. He started asking, "What do you think?" The first time he said it, they looked shocked. The second time, they smiled. The third time, they started answering honestly. He realized how much wisdom had been sitting quietly around him. The junior designer with an eye for detail. The intern with a better way to manage clients. The accountant who saved the company from a tax mistake. He had been surrounded by teachers all along. That's when he wrote on the whiteboard again, "Listen before you lead." Months later, Clara invited him to the bakery early in the morning. "Help me with something," she said. The rush began. Orders everywhere. Chaos. Liam tried to take control, barking instructions, rushing everyone. The tension grew. Clara walked over calmly, wiped her hands, and pointed at a plain cup on the shelf. "See that cup?" she said. "That's you." He frowned. "What do you mean?" "When your cup is full," she said, "nothing new can enter. Empty it, and you'll start learning again." He stared at the cup, half filled with cold coffee, and understood. That day, something shifted in him. He decided to stop trying to look smart and start trying to stay open. The agency didn't explode overnight, but slowly, things began to change. Projects became smoother, clients happier. The office felt alive again. Liam stopped calling himself CEO. He preferred student. He spent time shadowing his team, watching how they solved problems. He asked mentors for feedback. He read less about success and more about people. One evening, a client said, "Working with you feels different now." Liam smiled. "I started listening." Months later, another startup invited him to speak about leadership. At first, he wanted to decline, but Clara encouraged him. "Share what you've learned, not what you know." He went on stage. No slides, no rehearsed quotes, just a story. He told them about the bakery, about the whiteboard, about the empty cup. When he finished, the room was silent. Not the kind of silence that follows boredom, but the one that means people are thinking. Afterward, a young woman approached him and said, "I came here to learn how to lead my team, but I think I need to learn how to listen first." He smiled. That's where real leadership begins. If you're listening tonight, remember this. The world doesn't reward those who know it all. It rewards those who stay curious, be a sponge, absorb everything, not just from books, but from people, from mistakes, from silence. Learn from those ahead of you, beside you, and behind you. Every person carries a story that can teach you something. And when you think you've seen it all, remember Clara's words. Empty your cup, because arrogance fills, but humility grows. The best entrepreneurs aren't the loudest voices in the room. They're the ones who take notes, who ask questions, who never stop being students. Sleep well, dreamer, and tomorrow, wake up curious again.